I used to feel like my life was an endless whirlwind. Like many women, I had responsibilities at home and work, and I was still trying to take care of myself. But deep down, I knew I was just surviving, not truly living. It was at that moment that I started hearing about meditation. At first, I confess the idea seemed distant, almost impossible for someone like me, who barely had time to enjoy a cup of coffee without rushing. But that's when everything changed. Meditation is a powerful practice, and it's no wonder so many people talk about it. Scientists and mental health experts explain that when we meditate, our brains undergo a transformation. The prefrontal, cortex, which is responsible for decision-making and conscious thought, gets stronger. At the same time, the amygdala, which controls our fight or flight reactions, starts to calm down. This means we can better handle daily stress, reacting more calmly to situations that would have previously driven us crazy. But it's not just about science. For me, the biggest transformation was emotional. I remember one night when everything seemed to be falling apart. I'd had a terrible day at work. My house was a mess, and I was exhausted. Instead of succumbing to despair, I decided to try meditating for the first time. I sat on the floor of my room, closed my eyes, and took a deep breath. It was uncomfortable at first. My mind was filled with racing thoughts. But after a few minutes, I noticed something incredible. For a few moments, I felt a peace I hadn't experienced in years. This experience showed me that meditation is like a refuge, a safe space within ourselves. No matter how chaotic the outside world is, we can always return to this place of calm and inner silence. And that's something no one can take away from us. It's important to remember that we don't have to be perfect to meditate. It doesn't matter if your mind wanders, if you can't sit in a lotus position, or if you only have 5 minutes for it. Meditation isn't about doing everything right. It's about being present with yourself. So my message to you is simple. Meditation can be the first step toward transforming your relationship with the world and with yourself. Believe me, those 5 minutes can bring out a strength you might not even know you have. And now I ask you, what's stopping you from taking that first step? Take a deep breath, set aside a moment of your day, and allow yourself to experience this. Who knows, this small gesture could be the beginning of a much larger transformation. When I started meditating, my expectation was just to relieve daily stress. I was looking for something to help me slow down. But over time, I discovered that meditation is so much more than just a moment of pause. It's a practice that brings deep benefits, both for the body and the mind. And honestly, it was surprising to realize how something so simple could have such a large impact. One of the first benefits I noticed was the improvement in my sleep. Before, I would lie down and spend hours tossing and turning, my mind filled with worries. But after I started meditating, I realized I was falling asleep faster and sleeping more soundly. I don't know if you've ever felt this, but waking up genuinely rested is a transformative experience. I later found out that this happens because meditation reduces cortisol production, the famous stress hormone, helping the body to completely relax. Another aspect that surprised me was how my memory and focus improved. I used to be the person who forgot where I put my keys and got easily distracted during important conversations. But over time, the daily practice of meditation began to teach me to be more present. It was as if my mind became clearer, more organized, allowing me to focus on what really mattered. And I'm not the only one saying this. Studies show that meditating increases gray matter density in areas of the brain linked to memory and learning. Furthermore, meditation brought me a new emotional perspective. I remember a specific situation, a disagreement with a close friend. Before, I probably would have reacted in the heat of the moment. But that day, I was able to take a deep breath and respond calmly. It was an aha moment. I realized that meditation helped me create space between emotion and reaction. That space gave me the freedom to choose how to respond rather than just reacting. And there's more. The physical benefits are also remarkable. Studies show that regular meditation can lower blood pressure, improve heart health, and even strengthen the immune system. It's fascinating to think that by taking care of the mind, we're also taking care of the body. So, if you've ever wondered if meditation really works, I am living proof that it does. And the most amazing part is that it doesn't matter if you start with 5 minutes or an hour a day. Every moment you dedicate to this practice is an investment in your health and well-being. Think about it. What areas of your life could improve with more calm, focus, and balance? Allow yourself to experiment and observe how your life begins to transform little by little. After all, what do you have to lose? If I can be honest with you, it wasn't love at first sight with meditation. At first, I found everything very strange and uncomfortable. I felt like someone trying to fit into a place where I didn't belong. I would sit down to meditate, and my mind felt like a room full of children running around, screaming and making a mess. And you know what? I thought that meant I was terrible at meditation. I remember thinking, this isn't for me. I can't turn off my mind. But over time, I realized something important. Nobody starts out as an expert. Just like we learn to walk, cook, or drive. Meditating is also a skill we develop with practice and patience. It's not about completely emptying the mind, but about observing thoughts without getting attached to them. This was liberating for me because I understood that the goal wasn't to be perfect, but simply to try. Another obstacle I faced was a lack of time. My routine was already full, and I could barely fit in daily tasks. Where would I find space to meditate? That's when I realized I didn't need to start with long sessions. 5 minutes were enough to create a pause in the chaos. I began to meditate during breaks at work or even while waiting for my coffee to brew. These small changes made all the difference. One of the biggest barriers, however, was the skepticism of the people around me. When I told friends and family that I was trying to meditate, some laughed or said things like, "That's something for people who live in the Himalayas." At first, I felt discouraged, but then I realized that this journey was mine, and I didn't need anyone's approval. Gradually, the changes that meditation brought to my life began to speak for themselves. My patience increased, my mood improved, and even my relationships became more harmonious. If you're facing similar challenges, I want you to know that it's completely normal. Meditation isn't about doing everything right. It's about showing up for yourself, even when it feels hard. It's a practice of self-compassion, of accepting where you are today, without judgment. And believe me, the results will come. You might not see immediate changes, but over time, that initial restlessness will transform into a quiet comfort. So, why not give yourself a chance? Face the initial challenges as part of the journey and allow yourself to discover what lies on the other side of this experience. You might find something you didn't even know you were looking for. When I started meditating, one of the most challenging things was finding a place that made me feel at peace. I thought I needed a perfect environment. A quiet corner, lit candles, incense, and beautiful cushions. This made me postpone starting because, honestly, my home was far from a Zen refuge. But over time, I realized that it wasn't the space that made meditation work. It was the intention behind it. I remember one day when my living room was filled with scattered toys, the television was blaring in the background, and my phone was vibrating non-stop. Even so, I decided to sit for 5 minutes and close my eyes. At that moment, I understood that the external environment didn't need to be perfect. What mattered was the internal space I was creating. It was liberating to realize that meditation is accessible anywhere, whether in the silence of my room or on a park bench. With this, I began transforming small corners of my daily life into meditation spaces. Sometimes it was the car seat before entering work. Other times the sofa at the end of the day when everything became quieter. What mattered was consistency, not the setting. I noticed that placing symbolic objects, like a candle or a plant, helped signal to my mind that this was a special moment. These small gestures made all the difference. Another thing I discovered is that meditation doesn't have to be isolated. Many times I included my family in this practice. My daughter, for example, loved sitting with me and listening to relaxing music. These shared moments created an even stronger bond between us, as well as inspiring her to cultivate her own relationship with calmness and emotional balance. Today, looking back, I realized that the ideal space for meditation is the one we create within ourselves. No matter where you are, the simple act of closing your eyes and focusing on your breath is enough to reconnect with something greater. And that's what makes meditation so powerful. It teaches us that peace isn't found in a physical place, but in our own presence. How about trying this today? Choose a moment in your day. Find a corner. It doesn't have to be perfect. And set aside a few minutes for yourself. You might be surprised by the impact this practice will have on your routine. If I could go back in time and give advice to the version of myself starting to meditate, it would be this. Don't set unrealistic expectations. At first, I expected meditation to solve all my problems instantly. I thought that within weeks I would be completely calm, enlightened, living like a Zen monk. But the truth is, meditation doesn't work that way. And you know what? That's okay. I remember one time when, after a session, I walked away frustrated. My mind felt more agitated than ever. Questions, worries, and to-do lists were all competing for attention. I thought, am I doing this wrong? But over time, I realized that meditation isn't about quieting the mind. It's about learning to observe thoughts without clinging to them. And that alone is a significant step. Another important lesson was understanding that progress is subtle. It's like planting a seed. You don't see results immediately, but with care and patience, something incredible begins to grow. At first, it may seem like nothing is changing, but gradually, you notice that you react differently to challenges. Situations that once felt stressful start to seem more manageable. It's an internal transformation that happens quietly, but is profoundly impactful. One of the most beautiful lessons of meditation for me was acceptance. Not just accepting that I was where I needed to be on my path, but also accepting imperfection. There are days when the mind is more restless, and that's okay. There are days when I sit down to meditate, and everything flows beautifully. Both moments hold value because they are part of the process. This acceptance has extended into other areas of my life, helping me to be kinder to myself and others. Ultimately, I realized that meditation is a journey, not a destination. There's no endpoint where you arrive and become perfect. It's a constant practice of self-discovery, returning to yourself day after day. And that, for me, is what makes it so special. No matter how far you've come, or how many times you've felt lost, there's always an opportunity to start anew. Have you ever thought about what it would be like to let go of expectations and simply allow yourself to live in the present moment? Perhaps this is the moment to try. Start where you are, with what you have, and let the process guide the way. If there's one thing I've learned along this journey, it's that meditation is much more than a practice. It's a way of living. Each moment you allow yourself to pause, breathe, and simply be present is a gift you give to yourself. It's not about doing everything perfectly or reaching an unattainable state of tranquility. It's about connecting with who you truly are, embracing your highs and lows, and finding peace even amidst chaos. Reflecting on this journey, I see that every small victory, from finding a space to meditate to overcoming initial challenges, has brought significant changes. Today, I am more patient, more centered, and more open to life's experiences. And I deeply believe that this transformation is possible for you too. Meditation teaches us that we don't need to change the world around us to find peace. We just need to change the way we relate to it. My biggest message for you is, take the first step. It doesn't matter if it's a 5-minute meditation, or simply closing your eyes for a moment and taking a deep breath. The most important thing is to start. With each practice, you will be planting a seed of calm, self-compassion, and clarity that, over time, will grow and bloom in ways you can't even imagine. And now, it's up to you. How about trying a few minutes of meditation today? Choose a moment, find a space, and just allow yourself to give it a go. Remember, the journey doesn't have to be perfect to be transformative. And if you'd like to share your experiences or have any questions, leave them in the comments. I'm here to walk alongside you.